good morning, and welcome to another edition of In the Papers, where we bring you top stories from different newspapers within and outside Nigeria, ranging from politics, business, sports, entertainment, and a host of others. My name is Inioluwa Adekoya. And this beautiful morning, I will be taking you on a ride through the from the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, the Daily Post newspaper, and the Old newspaper. Right about now, we will go on a short break. When we come back, we will drive you straight into the stories, beginning with headlines from the Punch newspaper. Yes, glad to have you back. And now straight into our first set of headlines, beginning from the Old newspaper and talking Christmas. Ondo government to host 500 children. Still on the Old newspaper, ECOWAS heads of government summit begins in Abuja. On the Oak newspaper, talking asset tracking, ICPC recovers 37.44 billion naira, $2.35 million in 2025. Now to the Daily Post newspaper. Nigerian government bans admissions transfer into SS3 class. Still on the Daily Post newspaper, federal government trying to destroy multi-party democracy, says opposition leaders. Still on the Daily Post newspaper and talking Benin Republic, ex-president's son arrested amid Ford coup attempt. Still talking headlines, and now to the Punch newspaper. Bayelsa PDP backs Diri's autopsy order on late deputy governor. Still on the Punch newspaper, Kwara ex-lawmaker disagree as suspect bandits allege state sponsorship. Still on the Punch newspaper, I have never had 5 million naira, says bandit leader Toji. And back to the Punch newspaper. Presidency opposition clash over alleged weaponizing of EFCC. Heading straight to the Nation newspaper, my jurisdiction limited to Ibadan local government, says Olubado. And still on the Nation newspaper, talking insecurity, Yusuf establishes task force to secure motor parks, public spaces in Kano. And now finally to the Guardian newspaper. Christians experiencing unprecedented violence, says Jonah Jang. And with that, we've come to the end of the headlines. When we will take a short break right about now. When we get back, we will give you I will give you more headlines and details to come. Stay tuned. Yes, glad to have you back. The program is still in the papers, a paper review program where we review stories directly from the headlines and the stories in the papers. We review from the Old newspaper and other newspapers. And this morning I'll be beginning from the Old newspaper, where I've got this. Ondo government to host 500 children for Christmas. And now to the details. No fewer than 500 children are expected to attend the Ondo State Children's Christmas Party, scheduled to hold on Wednesday, December 17th, 2025 at the Government House, Alagbaka, Akure. The event is being organized by the Ondo State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development as part of efforts to promote child welfare, inclusion and festive bonding during the Yuletide. The colourful celebration will be chaired by the wife of the Governor of Ondo State and the First Lady, Mrs. Oluwaseun Ayedatiwa, who is expected to engage directly with the children and share goodwill messages to mark the Christmas season. According to the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Honorable Seun Osamaye, the program is designed to provide a safe, joyful and memorable Christmas experience for children drawn from different communities across the state, including vulnerable and less privileged children from orphanages and children's homes. Dr. Osamaye emphasized that the Ondo State Children Christmas Party reflects the Ayedatiwa-led administration's commitment to child development, protection, and happiness, noting that every child deserves moments of joy, care, and celebration. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Old newspaper with the headline, Christmas, Ondo government to host 500 children. It's okay. It seems my voice is not coming out. It's low. Like it's touching the second one when I'm speaking. Can you feel it? Yes, still on the Old newspaper, ECOWAS heads of government summit begin in Abuja. And now to the details. The 68th Ordinary Session of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government began at the State House Conference Center, Abuja, on Sunday. The summit features a special debate on the future of the community alongside discussions on regional priorities, including political stability, security or cooperations, and economic integrations. Regional leaders have arrived in Nigeria ahead of the session, which has been chaired by the President of Sierra Leone and ECOWAS Authority Chairman Julius Maada Bio. According to statements on Bio's ex-handle, the ECOWAS chairman arrived in Abuja on Saturday. The statement reads, and I quote, "I arrived in Abuja, Nigeria to preside over an ordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. As chair of the authority, I look forward to constructive deliberations with my colleague on the urgent challenges confronting our region. At this important gathering, the region leaders are expected to discuss various critical issues impacting West Africa, with the particular focus on recent incidents involving Guinea-Bissau and Benin. Key agendas item include deliberation on the future of ECOWAS community, presentation of the 2025 annual report on the state of the community, updates of regional security and mediation efforts, progress on Guinea's political transition, and the review of the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme. The summit is expected to conclude with the adoption of a final communique, followed by a joint press conference. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the newspaper with the headline, ECOWAS Heads of Government Summit begins in Abuja. Still on the old newspaper and talking assets tracking, ICPC recovers 37.44 billion naira, $2.35 million in 2025. And now to the details. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has announced the recovery of 37.44 billion naira and $2.35 million in 2025 through asset seizures and forfeitures. Its spokesperson, Oko Ode, said this in a statement on Sunday in Abuja. Ode explained that the ICPC chairman, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu SAN, disclosed the figures in Abuja at the ICPC end-of-the-year engagement sent off for retiring staff and annual merit awards. The chairman described the feat as one of the Commission's most significant annual recovery figures to date. Aliyu further described 2025 as a pivotal year marked by substantial progress across enforcement, prevention, and public enlightenment. Reviewing operational achievement, Aliyu revealed that the ICPC investigated 263 cases, exceeding its target of 250, and filed 61 cases in court, achieving 55.74% conviction rate. He further stated, and I quote, among the year notable successes was the conviction of Professor Cyril in the form of the University of Calabar, who received a 5-year prison sentence for offense relating to sexual harassment and cyberbullying. Aliyu noted that this judgment sent a strong signal of the Commission's resolve to confront all forms of abuse of office. The chairman highlighted extensive preventive work undertaken across ministries, departments, and agencies. He further stated, and I quote, a total of 344 NDAs were assessed using the Ethnic and Integrity Compliance Scorecard, while 66 corrupt monitoring activities and 1,490 project tracking exercises were carried out nationwide. If that story piques your interest, it is on the old newspaper with the headline, Asset Tracking, ICPC recovers 37.44 billion naira, $2.35 million in 2025. And now to the Daily Post newspaper. Nigerian government bans admissions transfer into SS3 class. And now to the details. The federal government has announced a ban on admissions and transfer of students into senior secondary school 3 in both public and private secondary schools in Nigeria. The directive was issued by the Federal Ministry of Education recently and signed by the Director of Press and Public Relations for Lashade Boriowo. Boriowo explained that the decision was prompted by the growing concerns of the increasing incidence of examination malpractice, including the use of so-called special centers during external examinations. The statement added that such practices undermine the integrity and credibility of Nigeria's education system. According to the ministry, the directive will take effect from the 2026/2027 academic session. Admissions and transfers are now restricted to SS1 and SS2 classes. The statement also emphasized that admission or transfer into SS3 will no longer be permitted under any circumstances. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Nigerian government bans admission transfer into SS3 classes. Still on the Daily Post newspaper, federal government trying to destroy multi-party democracy, says opposition leaders. And now to the details. A coalition of prominent opposition leaders has alleged that the federal government is using anti-corruption agencies to intimidate and prosecute opposition figures, warning that such actions could undermine multi-party democracy in the country. In a joint statement recently, the coalition accused the administration of President Bola Tinubu for weaponizing state institutions, particularly the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Nigerian Police, and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, to target political opponents under the guise of fighting corruption. Recent reports states that the statement was jointly signed by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Senate President, National Chairman of African Democratic Congress (ADC), Senator David Mark, former Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi, former Governor of Edo State Chief John Odige Oyegun, former Deputy National Chairman, South of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) Chief Olabode George, and the former Minister of State for Defense Lawal Battagarawa. And the statement reads, and I quote, Nigerians have witnessed what many now describe as a covert on the democratic agenda to ensure that all state governments fall under the control of the president's party, not through transparent electoral contests, but by secretly intimidating opposition governors via the anti-corruption apparatus until they succumb and defect. Recent defections of opposition governors into the ruling party have been reinforced public suspicion and political pressure, not ideological or personal persuasion, is driving this realignment. This pattern forms part of the broader project that targets not only elected leaders but also key opposition figures perceived. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Federal Government Trying to Destroy Multi-Party Democracy, says opposition leaders. You're still on the Daily Post newspaper, now talking cool. ECOWAS pledges to defend democracy in West Africa. And now to the details. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has pledged to defend democracy, deepen economic integration, and strengthen collective security amid rising instability across the sub-region. Leaders of the bloc made the commitment at the 68th Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government held at the Old Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, Abuja, represented by his vice, Kashim Shettima. President Bola Tinubu called for unity, warning that the bloc is weakest when divided. If what they said, and I quote, "We do not share geography by accident, we share it by design, by history and kinship, a family bound by memories, culture, struggle and aspiration." The Nigerian leaders explained that while disagreement among member states are inevitable, they must not undermine the sense of belonging of shared destiny. If what they said, and I quote, "Our unity is not transactional but foundational. Fraternity, not force, must define the future of our community, highlighting terrorism, violent extremism, unconstitutional change of government, transnational crime, arms proliferation, cyber insecurity, climate shocks, food insecurity, and irregular migration as shared threats require." You're still on the Daily Post newspaper, talking Benin Republic. Ex-president's son arrested amid Ford coup attempt. And now to the details. Chabi Yahi, son of former Beninese president and current opposition figure Thomas Boni Yahi, was arrested recently at his home. The ex-president's son was detained a week after the event of last Sunday. Meanwhile, Thomas Bona Yayi condemned the arrest have taken place since December 7th, an incitement to rebellion. Benin has also issued an international arrest warrant against Pan-Africanist and anti-Western influencer Kemi Seba, who recently responded defiantly in a video. In a 7-minute statement, Seba said he had taken precautions following the issuance of warrants against him, though he did not disclose which country he was in. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, "Ex-President's Son Arrested Amid Ford Coup Attempt." Newspaper, we have got this on the Osun governorship. Adeleke on cliffhanger as crisis rocks Accord Party. And now to the details. The Osun State chapter of the All Progressive Congress (APC) has accused Governor Ademola Adeleke of being increasingly jittery and unsettled following the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Oyebanji as the party's governorship candidate for the August 8, 2026 governorship election. The governor unease is also linked to the growing internal crisis within the Accord Party, where the faction has elected Clement Bamigbola as its governorship candidate just days after Adeleke was declared party official flag bearer. Oyebanji emerged as APC's candidate through a consensus primary held over the weekend in Osogbo. In a statement signed by the APC Director Media, and had displayed unwarranted agitation towards the APC National Chairman, Professor Netanwe Yiwada, despite assurances that the party remains committed to reclaiming Osun State following its recent loss in Anambra. Olabisi said, and I quote, "For a governor was yet to establish a credible platform for re-election. It is surprising that he continues to focus on tribal matters, exposing his inability to deliver effectiveness to the people of Osun State." He further added that after nearly 3 years in office, Osun residents have become discerning enough to judge Adeleke's record, citing alleged public gaffes, underwhelming performances, and poor management. Re-election are merely cosmetics and cannot compensate for what he described as a lack of tangible achievement. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Herb newspaper with the headline, Adeleke on cliffhanger as crisis rock accord party. Yes, and now I take a flight to the Punch newspaper, where I've got this. Tinubu inclusive governance makes Biafra agitations unnecessary, says Umahi. And now to the details. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, has urged Igbo people across the world to end agitations for a separate Biafra nation, arguing that the administration of President Bola Tinubu has addressed long-standing grievances through inclusion and integration. Umahi said that Tinubu's administration had given Igbo what they had sought for decades, and not through sessions, but through what he described as an unprecedented inclusion in national governance and development. The minister spoke recently during an inspection tour of ongoing mega projects on the Enugu-Anambra Road, where he addressed stakeholders, contractors, and community leaders. He further explained that the agitation for Biafra was historically driven by neglect, exclusion, and underrepresentation at the federal level, but insisted that the situation had changed under the current administration. Umahi said the Southeast had received what he described as a full quotes in national appointment, citing his position as Minister of Works alongside other key roles occupied by Igbo appointees in current administration. He further added that the major infrastructure projects were springing up across all 5 states of the Southeast, many of which had previously been considered unattainable. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, Tinubu inclusive governance makes Biafra agitation unnecessary, says Umahi. Yes, glad to have you back. The program is still in the papers, coming to you from iPower 102.7 FM. It is time to call and react to the stories that has been read out to you. And the number to call is 0816 552 4699. 0816 552 4699. You can also reach out to us on this number 08132 74 7339, 08132 74 7339. You can also reach out to us on our social media handles on Facebook at iPower1027FM, Instagram at iPower1027FM, TikTok at iPower1027FM, and on X at iPower1027. Right about now, we will take a short break. When we get back, we will give you more headlines and more stories. Yes, the program is in the papers, coming to you from my Power 102.7 FM. And now we're heading back to the Punch newspaper with this headline: Bayelsa PDP backs Diri's autopsy order on late deputy governor. And now to the details. The Bayelsa State Chapter of the People's Democratic Party has backed Governor Doye Diri's directive for an autopsy to be conducted on his late deputy, Senator Lawrence Erujiakpo, to medically determine the cause of his death. Governor Diri had given the directive to media. Erujiakpo reportedly slumped in his office at the government house around 1:30 p.m. last Thursday and was rushed to intensive care unit of the Federal Medical Center, Inioluwa, where he was later pronounced dead. His death, he had refused to defect from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. Along with Diri, he later filed a suit to stop any plans by the State House of Assembly Ogoli, said the party fully aligned with what Diri's directive to conduct an autopsy to determine the cause of Erujiakpo's sudden death. Ogoli said the party was in shock and deep pain over the unexpected death of the deputy governor, who he described as a major asset to the administration. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch. Still on the Punch newspaper, Kwara ex-lawmakers disagree as suspected bandits allege state sponsorship. And now to the details. A former member of the Kwara State House of Assembly, Mashoud Bakare, has urged the federal government to urgently investigate allegations that the Kwara State government supplied arms and ammunition to bandits terrorizing parts of the state. Bakare made this call recently in Ilorin while speaking with newsmen, following claims by suspected bandits arrested by the military that they were sponsored by the state government. But the governor, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, Chief Press Secretary Rafiu Adekoya, dismissed the allegation as shared disinformation. Adekoya said, and I quote, "Anyone who understands Hausa will see that these fellows said they've got weapons from Abuja. How is Abuja synonymous with Kwara?" The newsman that a 1 minute the inscription of Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State. In a recent video, the suspects were seen lying face down with their hands tied as soldiers questioned them about the activities and source of the weapons recovered. One of the suspects, speaking Hausa and Pidgin English, claimed that the patrol vehicles and rifles were provided by the Ilorin government, alleging that they had been operating under the guise of security patrol. The suspect said, and I quote, "We have been here for quite a while. We are using the vehicle for patrol, a lie. Now the truth, I did tell you. Ilorin government now give us this motto and weapons. They were the ones that gave us the rifles." The suspects further alleged that the weapons were collected by their superior identified as Oga Victor, claiming that they had gone on several patrols alongside security operatives who were allegedly involved. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline: Kwara ex-lawmaker disagree as suspected bandits allege state sponsorship. Yes, for comments and contributions to any of the stories read out to you, the number to call is 0816 552 4699. 0816 552 4699. You can also reach out to us on 0813 2747 339. 0813 2747 And still on the Punch newspaper, INEC disowns Accord Party parallel governor primary in Osun. And now to the details. The Independent National Electoral Commission in Osun State has said that it was not aware of another primary by the Accord Party in the state. The faction of Accord Party in Osun on Sunday reportedly held a primary election which produced Bamigbola Clement as its candidate in the August 8, 2026 governorship poll. The fresh primary comes days after an earlier one last Wednesday, which produced Governor Inioluwa Adekoya as the Accord Party governorship candidate for the next year election. The Sunday's exercise, which was held in Osogbo, the state capital, commenced with the accreditation of delegates. Large presence of armed police operatives was also observed around the venue. Bamigbola, who was the only aspirant presented to the delegates at the primary when contacted by newsmen, simply said, "It is true, we had our primary and I emerged the consensus candidate." But when contacted, the INEC public relations officer in the state, Musa Olurode, explained that the commission was unaware of another primary by the Accord Party. Olurode said, and I quote, "We have monitored the only Accord Party primary a few days ago. The report has been submitted. INEC is not aware of any other party primary." At the earlier Accord governorship primary last week Wednesday, Adeleke had run unopposed and emerged the party's candidate. Announcing the result of the primary, the secretary of the Electoral Committee that conducted the primary, Abdulaziz Salahuddin, said Adeleke polled 145 votes to winners. He said 150 delegates drawn across the 30 local government areas in the state participated in the exercise. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, INEC disowns Accord Party parallel governorship primary in Osun State. Yes, for comments and contributions, the number to call is 0816-552-4699, 0816-552-4699. You can also reach out to us on 0813. Now moving on to the Punch newspaper, where we've got this. I have never had 5 million naira, says bandit leader Turji. And now to the details. Notorious bandit leader Bello Turji says since he was born he has never possessed 5 million naira, denying receiving money or vehicle during peace talks with Zamfara state government. In a viral video circulating on social media, the bandit leader said his activities are not for his personal gain. His videos was a response to allegations by Muslims who had alleged that Turji received 30 million naira during several meetings with former governor of Zamfara State, Bello Muhammad Matawali, now Minister of State for Defense, at the government house in Gusau. Vehicles were also reportedly distributed, but Turji dismissed the claims as false. He said, and I quote, "By Allah, since I was born, I had never possessed even 5 million naira. He said it in a video. What I am doing is not for personal gain. We were never given the 30 million naira you were talking about." He accused Kamarawa of betraying the trust established during negotiation and given what he described as false and mischievous testimony. "We agreed peace with when Zamfara state government appointed you," Turji said. "But what you are saying now is full of lies and deceit. I did not receive 3 million naira even." If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, "I have never had 5 million naira, says bandit leader Turji." Still on the Punch newspaper, African leaders seek compensation for UK colonial crimes. And now to the details. Information has emerged about plans by some African leaders to seek compensation from the United Kingdom for crimes committed during the colonial era. The move gathered momentum at the recent high-level conference in Algiers, where African policymakers met to map out a collective legal and diplomatic strategy aimed to securing reparations from former colonial powers, with Britain a central focus. Participants at the meeting agreed on the need for colonial-era abuses to be formally recognized, criminalized, and addressed through reparative justice. The leaders are driving towards a coordinated continental push for reparations and historic accountability. The discussions followed a resolution adopted earlier this year by the African Union which calls for justice, compensation for victims of colonialism across the continent. At the AU February summit, African leaders had proposed classifying colonization as a crime against humanity and developing a unified continental position to pursue reparations. Nigeria has emerged as one of the key drivers of this push. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, African leaders seek compensation for UK colonial crimes. And now moving to the Nation newspaper, my jurisdiction limited to Ibadan local government, says Olubadan. And now to the details. The Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja, has declared that his jurisdiction does not extend beyond the 11 local government councils of Oyo State, and there are about 4 million people residing there, as clearly stipulated in the Oyo State Chiefs Law and Ibadan Chieftaincy Declaration. Oba Ladoja stated this recently while speaking at the coronation luncheon organized by the Ibadan Foundation and celebrate his ascension to the throne at the Kakanfo Hotel, Ibadan. The first-class monarch said he had enormous responsibilities within his domain and would not be directed by issues outside his jurisdiction. Addressing an audience of Ibadan leaders and dignitaries including Ashiwaju Bode Amao, Chief Bayo Uyero, Otun Balogun, and Oba Kola Adegbola, and members of the Yalude group, and the Olubadan said he had clear vision for managing the challenges and facing Ibadan. He clearly said that during the protest of the Circular Road project, a group of residents approached him first, adding that he promptly briefed Governor Sheyi Makinde on this issue. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Nation newspaper with the headline, My jurisdiction limited to Ibadan local government, says Olubadan. Still on the Nation newspaper, talking insecurity, Yusuf establishes task force to secure motor parks, public spaces in Kano. And now to the details. Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf has approved the immediate establishment of a task force to decisively tackle security threats at motor parks and other strategic public spaces across the state. This was contained in a statement by the governor's spokesman, Sanusi Batura, recently. The governor said the decision underscores his firm resolve to prevent criminal infiltrations and safeguard Kano State, particularly at key entry and exit points with the metropolitan area. The state identified motor parks as high-risk locations due to increased human movement and recent security development, including the arrest of suspected miscreants at Kofaluwa Motor Park. Yusuf said the measure is a proactive step in neutralizing threats before they escalate, strengthening inter-agency coordinations and restoring public confidence. He reaffirmed his administration's zero-tolerance stance on criminality and unwavering commitment to fully support security agencies in protecting lives and property. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Nation newspaper with the headline, Yusuf establishes task force to secure motor parks, public spaces in Kano. Yes, for comment and contributions to the stories read out to you, the number to call is 0816-552-4699. The number again is 0816-552-4699. You can also reach out to us on 08132-747-339. You can reach out to us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at iPower1027FM and on X at iPower1027. And with that, we will take a short break. When we get back, we will give you a recap of what of the headlines read out to you today. 2.7 FM. And now to the recap of the headlines read out to you today, beginning from the Oak newspaper, where we informed you that Ondo State government to host 500 children for Christmas celebration. Still on the Oak newspaper, where we informed you that ECOWAS Heads of Government Summit begins in Abuja. And now to the Daily Post newspaper, where we informed you that the federal government is trying to destroy multi-party democracy, says opposition leaders. Still on the Daily Post newspaper, still talking Benin Republic, where we informed you that ex-president's son has been arrested amid Ford coup attempt. And now to the Punch newspaper, where we informed you that Bielsa PDP has backed the autopsy order on late Deputy Governor. Still on the Punch newspaper, talking bandits, Kwara ex-lawmakers disagree as suspected bandits allege state sponsorship. Still on the Punch newspaper, where we informed you that INEC has disowned Accord Party's parallel governorship primary in Osun State. And to the Nation newspaper, where we informed you that my jurisdiction limited to Ibadan local government, says Olubadan. And finally, on the Nation newspaper, talking insecurity